Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Toon in 10. That's Vince. Of course, no Pete today, because he's out. He's just away, isn't he? He's on a scouting mission.
Living life.
Just couldn't be arsed, really. Couldn't be bothered. And before we get cracking on today's episode, a big shout out to the boys in Gosforth Park who saw me last week. They saw me catching Pokemon.
If that's what you call it when you're out dogging, fair enough. Gosforth Park, okay.
It was.
I don't mix in those circles.
No, look, yeah, look. I'm not going to defend myself, but
it's fine.
I caught a few good ones.
Good stuff.
Anyway, let's crack on as always with the first half. It's 5 minutes uninterrupted. When the timer stops, that's it. We stop talking, and that is it. And of course, we're better to start than the Championship opener against Fulham. It's Fulham 1, Newcastle 0. Time at the ready and go. Well, that was a big pile of horse shit, wasn't it? Did you see it coming?
I mean, I had a score draw.
You did. It was Pete called this actually.
Yeah, I had a score draw, and I think if the penalty shot had been given, I think a score.
I mean, it was blatant. It was stonewall. That's pretty poor refereeing. Certainly.
Well, we're going to have to learn to come to terms that your lower rate referees are going to be in the Championship. There's not going to be. I mean, it should be.
That's a good point. No, it's a good point
because it was the first match of it and you're not going to get the same fouls and penalties.
No,
in
it's right. It's in the same way that the Euros showed us different refereeing to the Premier League, for example. It's completely different. It's a different competition, different kind of refereeing culture. You're absolutely right. But I still think that no matter if we had a sort of another penalty shout potentially, for me, whether we had 5 of those penalty shouts, the performance just was not good enough, and I found it really disappointing.
I liked it when Ed didn't like it, but I appreciate Dummett was turned with the back.
It's like, that's a pretty easy gif, isn't it? That's a Vine been doing the rounds, isn't it? It's just like,
is it there like Obio or something there?
Man, yeah. I mean, there was another one where the right back, Adoy, I think it was, broke through, and Dummett came in with one of his class. I mean, it happens to him at least once, pretty much once every game. He'll get skinned, because I just don't think he's fast enough to be a left back personally, and he'll come in with this ill-timed kind of sliding hack
across,
and it was just like it was annoying because at that point, it'd shown so much of the ball. But look, when Fulham took the lead, the hell of a
cross.
Absolutely, it was a really.
Where was Lascelles though? Where was Lascelles?
So obviously they got bunched together, didn't they? All the centre backs and all their attackers.
The line.
And then sort of pushed each other, and I think I think Dummett went down. That put Lascelles he's miles off, and in fairness to him, he came out after the game and he held his hands up and he said, "Yeah, that was my error." But beyond that chance, that was pretty much the only clear-cut chance to end the whole.
It was a terrible game. The whole game was terrible, though.
Poor, absolutely poor quality from both. For me, one of the main reasons that we struggled is that we tried. For whatever reason, it felt a bit like, I don't want to be too harsh on Rafa Benitez here, and I think he will learn from his mistakes, but it felt like a bit of a McLaren performance. We weren't playing to suit the players on the pitch. We had Gale leading the line, which we're going to have to do for the next few games anyway, because Mitrovic is out.
Is there any truth of Mitrovic rumours today? Sunday morning, all the papers saying that he's can't be trusted, so Benitez wants rid of him.
I can't understand why we would do that. So
it would have been earlier in the window if it had been.
Yeah, I think it's a load of bullshit, to be honest. I think it's just paper bollocks. And I think there's been a couple of whispers this morning. I think even the Chronicle came out and sort of said, yeah, it's bollocks. But we were playing on Friday night as if Mitrovic was still on the pitch. The defenders were knocking long balls up. Yet you've got Gale, who won't win many headers.
Perez, he was off as well.
Perez didn't have the greatest of games either. You basically had like Richie, who was kind of one of the main senior attackers that we had, trying to pull together. And Richie impressed me. Anita did not impress me, wing or not wing. Like what? See, that baffles me as well. I understand why he's gone callback shelf, and we talked a bit about that last time.
Yeah.
But surely, if we're going to be playing sort of mindless long ball lumps up to Gale, should he need someone with a of guile and someone with a passing range like Shelby who could maybe
and we should
drop
have
the
a
ball
plan
in
B.
behind the defence because they were playing quite hard.
I've heard a lot about the match that, you know, or we're just getting acclimatised to the Championship, we're just getting ready. Norwich smashed Blackburn 4-1, and that was at Ewood Park. So I think that notion that, oh, it's the first match, we can write it off, we're getting acclimatised. Well, no, because the same narrative that's coming from certain people have been the same people that have said, oh, we're unbeaten in 10, 12 games, whatever, taking it into account.
Truth is, we're 3 points off the pace already.
Exactly. And it's a tight season, the top 10, the 10, there'll only be about 10, 15 points
You're right.
between.
No, you're absolutely
more or less
right.
the top half of that table. We've already lost potentially a quarter of the margin on them. Fulham finished 20th last season, they've lost about half of their goals more, and McCormack and Dembele have gone. There was no excuse not to have a convincing win. I thought it would be a draw because I thought we'd feel it, but no excuses.
I thought we might have nicked it, yeah. And
it was terrible.
I think ultimately we need to learn how to play with Gale, and I think that's the crux of it for me. If we can't learn to play with Gale, then we can't play that formation. And that's the end of the first half. Bit disappointing. We would have liked to have reported on an exciting win, a big start.
It's 2 and 10. How often does that happen? People are used to it by now.
I'd say
a year in, people are used to
it. Look, Sport Newcastle just it's even when you think it's going to be fun, it just isn't fun. But it's early doors. Let's see what the rest of the season. Let's see what the second half brings, and we'll be with you just after this. Hello, and welcome back to the second half of the Toon in 10, brought to you by the Toon Network. It's Adam and Vince here. Pete is not here still. Still hasn't shown up. Yeah. So we've been waiting ages. Hasn't bothered. Cheers, Pete. Right, so we talked a bit about the Fulham game in the first half down at Craven Cottage, disappointing start, but most notably, one of the main issues in that game was creativity and goals. And I guess let's talk about where we think creativity and goals are going to come from moving forward. Okay? So time at the ready and go.
If we look at last season, we've lost, in my opinion, our two most effective players in Wijnaldum and Townsend. They were our two best players last season. Okay. But essentially you could partition the season. Wijnaldum was the best player for the first half of the season. Townsend was the best player for the second half of the season. No surprise to me, all those were the players to depart and be bought for. I think Sissoko will follow them because Sissoko, even though he's a fair weather player, he's the other one who is undoubtedly sort of...
He got about 8 or 9 assists still last season, Sissoko. So that's we still need to replace. Absolutely.
So we've lost those two, and obviously we're not going to replace them. Richie's a good sign, and we're not going to replace that quality in the Championship. We're not going to get like for like their Premier League quality to get people to come to a Championship club. It's different. People might say, well, we are going to replace them, but it's a false storm for me. I think it's lying to ourselves. Big worry for me is we're embedding a large number 8 signings we've made. It's a hell of a lot.
To actually integrate at once, isn't it? Yeah.
Now, as football manager players will understand, I'm sure there are many of you, if you go beyond buying 3 or 4 new players, first season, get rid of the deadwood,
it's that chemistry,
integrate 10
cohesion.
players.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we're missing. So whilst I think we may have the genesis of a good team, we need to give them time to gel. But equally, I still think I'd love to get an experienced striker in, 30-year-old plus, somebody who can lead the line of experience,
obviously
be an example.
Obviously, we
don't have that.
Whether we were going for McCormack in truth or not, whether we... It's maybe unfair to say we missed out on him because we just don't know if we were in for him at all. But that
Maverick, I'd take Peter Crouch from Stoke. I honestly would.
Yeah, there's been a few shouts for that.
I would take Crouch. Yeah, I really would.
My favourite striker, and obviously this could be a long shot, is somebody like Danny Ings. I don't know how Klopp sees him, whether he would get a game there. If he wasn't to get a game there, it's unlikely to drop down. Of course, it's a pipe dream. But somebody like that who is an established goal scorer, natural finisher, and as we briefly mentioned in the first half there, Gale and Mitrovic are very different kinds of players. So when one isn't in the team, we have to learn how to play with whichever starting lineup. We don't have
like replacements for either in the squad. That's the thing. We don't have deputies for either.
That's exactly
deputise for
exactly the point. So So you've got, in terms of attacking threat, who can bring, Diarmé comes in, I think, and he is a sort of scoring box to box from what I've seen of him over the years, and I think he'll bring good drive, kind of what we hoped Sissoko might do in his probably true position centrally, which never really happened. What Wijnaldum probably should have done, but he was kept pushing him out on the left wing as well. So a lot of
square pegs and round holes.
Exactly that. So I think we're weak on the left wing, and we've got Richie, who I think looks smart. He looks and even look Gale for me looked rapid and he looked sharp, but we didn't know how to find him. So I think for me, I don't think if we play the way we did against Fulham, we can't have Gale playing up front on his own. I think could Gale play in behind a Mitrovic and then Perez and Gale swap and alternate? And if so, then we need someone who's an actual target man.
But Mitrovic will get suspensions. We have to accept it, and there isn't a like for like. I mean,
there is. I mean, Armstrong was also kind of a deadly.
He looked lively when he came on. He looked all
right.
He
did, but I think ultimately Armstrong's he is an out-and-out centre forward, but he's like a Mike Lowen of his day. But football trends have moved on. Nobody plays with that.
You play well up front now as the
exactly, and then somebody who needs to be able to hold the line. And in fairness, Gale did the best he could when it was on the ground, but. So I think
needs to be running onto balls, not getting out the air.
I think Richie and Diarmé and Mitrovic and Gale can provide goals, but we're still lacking, and Perez as well.
You're a fan of De Jong. Do you think De Jong's got a place in the team? De Jong's got a decent height.
Look, on paper, I really like De Jong. I really think he's intelligent. I think on and off the pitch, he's that kind of experienced leadership that he can bring to the. But ultimately, if you're not fit and you can't. Is it a waste? Is it a waste that you can't possibly...
So I've given Crouchy as a name. Who do you think we could rate? Because Ings isn't realistic.
Maybe is Victor Moses possibly available?
Yeah,
I've heard
a sort of a substitute for Mitrovic who's going to hold the line.
Battle axe.
And a bit of experience.
I don't know, like a Ricky Lambert or somebody like that, isn't it?
He's West Brom, game, doesn't he? Ricky Lambert,
there you go.
Let's get Ricky Lambert. We've done it.
Oh,
the Scouts. I was going to say Grant Holt.
Yeah, it is somebody like that. The thing is, Mitrovic isn't mobile, but you just want a target man, somebody to aim for. If we're not going to hack it out, like Hanley,
that's what you need.
Grant Hanley liked to just twat out of defence, didn't he?
So it's championship football. I know. Get used to it.
I know. It was a learning curve, wasn't it, on Friday night?
But it reminded me of why I never really watched championship matches. You kind of forget because it's Newcastle. You almost think it's going to be a bit more exciting, but the quality is.
You kind of get dragged down a bit, don't you? But fair play to Fulham. They played better than us, frustrated us, and we deserve no more than a draw, I think.
No.
So anyway, that's the end of the episode. Thank you very much for tuning in once again. Get sharing with all your friends as usual. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube and iTunes as well.
Follow us at Gossip Park.
Pop down, come play some Pokemon with us. That's not a metaphor. So hopefully next game, Huddersfield at home. Needs to be 3 points. Has to be. I'm kind of glad that we kind of suffered a defeat very, very early, so we can give us a kick up the arse kind of thing. But
I just think it'll temper the expectations a little bit, and I think there might be a bit damper atmosphere. But we'll see. We need to be beating Huddersfield at home.
We can't get.
How many times did we say that last season? We need to be beating them, but yeah, we can't be dropping 6 points off the place already this early.
Right. I've been Adam. Pete's not been here. Vince has though. I'm grateful for it, and we'll see you next time. Cheers, everyone. Bye.